Okay. Hopefully I can see it. There's my audience. Alright. Alright. Today we're gonna learn about how to make crepes. Woo! Alright, so couple basic ingredients. You have your eggs, your sugar, your salt, milk, water, and flour. And special ingredient, it's vanilla. In case anybody didn't know that, everybody knows. Alright, so basic ingredient, just mix everything together. Crazy concoction. There's gonna be no explosions here. Would be pretty cool. I'll post the recipe, make it a little bit easier. But you basically put everything together at once. It doesn't make a difference. I know you're... Shabam! Okay, and then after that you just mix everything together. Super simple. You want it to have a somewhat creamy texture. What? Somewhat creamy texture. It's going to come out really thin, but that's what it's supposed to look like. It does even out when you're going through it, but so don't freak out if it is looking a little watery and milky. It's supposed to look like that. I'll show you here in a second. You have your eggs. Now my back's turned to it. Mix it all together. During this time, you want to heat your oven up to like a medium low. Nothing too hot, so you don't want to burn them because they do bake really fast. And then, an ideal amount that you want to be putting inside is about... You want to be putting about 1/4 cup inside of your pan. And makes it a little bit ideal. So about 1/4 cup for your mix to be able to put inside there. Point towards inside. Okay, so you get a 1/4 cup, you put it inside the pan, it's about medium hot, and you start rolling it around so it gets to all the corners of the bowl. And try to start swirling it around just until it actually starts evening out, and then the batter's going to start baking on there. And everybody in all your recipes, it's going to say butter. You don't mix the butter in with it, because again, it makes it thinner, and it doesn't add a really good texture to it. It kind of looks a little funny, but you usually put the butter or Crisco or whatever you want in the bottom of the pan just to oil it up so it doesn't stick. We're using a non-stick today, but yeah. And then you let it bake or sit in there and bake. This one kind of came out a little funny. I put too much butter on there, but you want to scrape off the edges. So it kind of adds a little bit more uniform, get it more like a circular one. This one came out a little bit funny, but that's usually how the first one is. And it's a little low on temperature. So then sit, let it bake for a little bit. When you're baking it, you're going to want to have it on the bottom part. It's going to look like, kind of like a top of a normal pancake would look like. where it's kind of like golden brown, solid solid and uniform on one side. And then you can use a spatula when you're flipping them and everything. This one isn't ready yet, but you can use a spatula when you're baking or flipping it. I use my hands. I have iron fingers, but that's just me. Okay, it's a little bit thin. You have to turn the temperature up a little bit, but yeah. 1/4 cup, bake it all the way around. They do take a minute or two to bake. During this process, when one of them is baking, you can either go figure out how to make another one if you're making more or not, or you could be tending to your mixture on the inside, the filling of the inside. That'll be a different video. I'll also post the link to how much, or the ingredients on how to make it and everything. But everyone always freaks out and says that crepes are super difficult to make, but they're actually really easy. It's more of just trying to fine-tune your ingredients to make it a little bit better, but they're actually pretty easy. It's just mixing all the ingredients together like pancakes. They're just thin pancakes in general to make it easy. And then flip it. This one came out a little bit thin and underdone, but that's always how the first one is going to be when you're mixing it. I put too much butter in there, but in general, I'll make a different one. I'll make another one just to make it look better, because I know it'll come out a little bit better. So, 1/4 cup. Put your mix inside your bowl. Stir it around until it gets uniform all the way around the pan. This takes a couple times. They're going around, but you'll see it get thinned out. Kind of like that. And then sit there, let it bake. When it's baking, you're going to see the little key things of knowing when the bottom part's done, because I know I can say golden brown all day long. Nobody's going to understand what it means. But basically, when it starts bubbling in the middle, you'll start seeing little tiny holes pop through. And when the bubbles start stretching to the outside of the pan, where the outskirts of your actual, like, where the edge of your crepe is, that's when you know it's ready to flip, and you can actually start flipping it around. And then on the other side, it's more of just timing, but you'll start to get a grasp of it. The other side's going to look a little bit different than the other side. You're not going to want to have a uniform color like the bottom side is. It's going to have little tiny dots here and there of where it's done, and it's going to look a little bit like it's underdone, but it bakes all the way through since it's so thin. It doesn't really need that much to bake. It's more of just adding color to it. Now, they do take about 3 to 4 minutes to bake. Don't quote me on anything, because it changes every time depending on how thick the middle part is or how thin it is. I mean, it really depends. It all depends. This is the best part, waiting. It's starting to come through a little bit. But yeah, as I said, you can kind of see, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there are little tiny dimples all around throughout the entire thing. That's essentially how you make the crepes. They're super easy, super fun. They make great great for breakfast. You can also do you can add in like garlic or anything to your mix that's somewhat thin. Like you can do like garlic salt or anything. Add it into the recipe. It's not going to affect it too much, and it's going to add more flavor to it. So you can do like mushrooms or cheese or anything like kind of like an omelet sort of style. But you can add anything to these at all. These ones come out a little sweet since they're made for breakfast, and adding the vanilla, it makes it a little more sweet. But you can just make them regular, and they taste kind of like a flour tortilla. Here, flip it around. This one's a little bit discolored, but basically look like that. Flip around, should come out perfectly. And that's how you make them. Thank you for watching, and there's my audience. Thank you, and have a great day.